Good morning. As you can see, we're standing in our sanctuary this morning. You can see the beautiful stained glass windows of the doors to the sanctuary down below, and a bit of the sanctuary windows up top where we were last week. And so we're talking about Acts chapter 9, verses 1 to 22. And the first question that popped into my mind when I read this story for the first time, why Paul? You see, there are so many people who responded to God's grace and the cross of Jesus Christ who became followers of Jesus. Better choice, I would think. There were also many people who were searching for something more in their lives. They were searching for something, and they were open to the possibility of becoming disciples of Jesus. So why pick Christianity's number one greatest enemy? Well, the answer to that question probably we will never ever find. We can, however, I believe, marvel at the greatness of God's grace. God's grace extends to his enemies and beyond. There is absolutely no one who cannot be touched by God's grace and experience God's love, just like you and me. And that's the good news, that we are called to share. God's grace, God's love is available to everybody. He wants to share it with all. Now, there's a few of us out there who might want to claim to be saints, innocent, free from all guilt and shame. I would suggest that even if we feel that we are God's gift of creation, we know of a few skeletons in our closets that we probably want no one else to know about. And some of us, I think, go through life convinced in the validity of this theological doctrine that is known as total depravity, which basically says that we believe that we are rotten to the core and we wear a facade of goodness to keep people from discovering who we really are. And these thoughts frequently cause us to believe that we are not worthy of God's love or worthy of God's grace. We convince ourselves that we can never have a close, dynamic, abundant life and relationship with God because we are the type of people that God does not want to include in his family. But hear this, please. God's appearance to Paul on Paul's trip to Damascus proves that these thoughts are false. You see, Jesus died for sinners. He died for people who were enemies of God so that we might all have a new life and live in a relationship with God. And so that means that Jesus died for you and me. And everybody else who's watching this video. And everybody who is not watching this morning devotion. The grumpy people on our block. The kids who run over and destroy our flowers. The people let their dogs run loose and you know what they do on your lawn. And people worse than that. God died for them. He loves them. He wants to share his grace with them. And you know what he does? He does exactly what he did with you and me. He empowers somebody through the power of his Holy Spirit to share God's love, God's grace with you, with me. If you heard the sermon on Sunday, that was my mom who did it with me. Right? She shared the love of God, the grace of God with me. And many, many people after that to build me up in my faith and strengthen my faith as the Holy Spirit worked on me. Same thing with you. So now God calls you and me to go. Share God's love, share God's grace with friends, with neighbors, with enemies, family members. You know who might just need a quick call from you today. But you might be able to share God's love and grace with. This may be the day. Right? Bless somebody with a phone call. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.